Imagine this. The rain is falling on empty city streets. Generals huddle over their maps, making bold promises about victory before Christmas. They imagine parades, medals, and glory. But instead, they create one of the deadliest nightmares in human history, World War I. And among its horrors, there were men whose arrogance, mistakes, and foolishness changed the fate of millions. Tonight, let's meet the biggest idiots of World War I. Settle in, relax, and let the story slowly unfold. Our first tale begins on a tense summer morning, June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, is riding through Sarajevo in an open car. His wife Sophie is beside him, the streets filled with soldiers and curious onlookers. Earlier that day, an assassin tried and failed. The route was supposed to change, but the drivers, no one told them. By cruel chance, the Archduke's car stops in front of Gavrilo Princip, the same man who had missed him earlier. This time, he doesn't miss. 2 shots ring out. Franz Ferdinand slumps over. Sophie collapses beside him, and in that single wrong turn, the world spirals into war. Next, we meet Kaiser Wilhelm II, the last German emperor. He wanted glory, he wanted power, but what he got was disaster. Wilhelm dismissed the wise Chancellor Bismarck, built a navy to compete with Britain, and handed Austria-Hungary a blank check of support. He thought he was untouchable, but by July 1914, he had isolated Germany, surrounded by enemies. His choices guaranteed a 2-front war. France, Russia, Britain, one by one, they closed in. Wilhelm dreamed of triumph, but found himself trapped in a nightmare he had created. By the end, his empire was ruined, his people starving, and he fled into exile. A man who wanted to be remembered as a conqueror, instead remembered as one of history's great fools. Now imagine a battlefield of endless mud, barbed wire, and machine guns. This is where General Douglas Haig sent thousands of young British men. His strategy was simple: keep attacking until the enemy gave up. But the enemy never did. At the Battle of the Somme, 57,000 British soldiers fell on the very first day. At Passchendaele, men drowned in mud as horses sank beside them. Haig never walked the front lines. He sat far from the horror, convinced cavalry charges could win against bullets and gas. His legacy is complicated, but the truth remains. His decisions turned courage into slaughter. His soldiers marched into gunfire because their commander could not imagine a new kind of war. Far to the east, Tsar Nicholas II believed he ruled by divine right. But when his armies collapsed, he made a fatal mistake. In 1915, he personally took command of the Russian army, leaving his empire in the hands of his wife Alexandra and the mystic Rasputin. The people starved. Riots filled the streets. His generals lost faith. Nicholas, isolated at headquarters, believed loyalty and prayer would save Russia. Instead, his throne crumbled beneath him. By 1917, revolution swept the land. The Tsar abdicated, and within a year, he and his family were executed in a dark basement. He had clung to old traditions, blind to reality, and it cost him his crown, his dynasty, and his life. Germany once had a plan, the Schlieffen Plan, to strike France fast, then turn east. It was bold, dangerous, but it might have worked. When Helmuth von Moltke took charge, he weakened the plan. He shifted troops, lost focus, and gave vague orders. Instead of a lightning strike, Germany stumbled. Belgian resistance slowed them. British forces arrived. The French pushed back at the Marne. What was supposed to be a 6-week war turned into years of trench warfare. Moltke's name is remembered as the man who broke the only chance Germany had at a quick victory. His caution created a stalemate of mud, misery, and endless graves. And then there was Winston Churchill. Before he became the hero of World War II, he was the architect of one of World War I's biggest disasters, Gallipoli. He believed the Dardanelles would be Britain's shortcut to victory. A naval strike, then landings to seize high ground. But the landings were chaos. Soldiers stormed the wrong beaches, facing cliffs and machine guns. Months of brutal stalemate followed. Flies, heat, and death. By the time the Allies evacuated, 250,000 men were gone. Churchill resigned, disgraced. Gallipoli became a symbol of arrogance and wasted lives. A bold idea that collapsed into tragedy. Finally, we turn to the sea. Germany's submarines, the dreaded U-boats, prowled the Atlantic, sinking ships at will. In 1915, one U-boat sank the Lusitania, killing Americans and nearly dragging the United States into war. Germany promised to stop, but in 1917, desperate and starving under blockade, they gambled again. They resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, sinking anything that floated. They believed Britain would fall before America could rise. They were wrong. Within months, American soldiers poured into Europe, 10,000 a day. Germany's gamble had backfired, sealing their defeat. Their submarines had not sunk Britain. They had sunk their own empire. So there you have it. A driver who made the wrong turn. An emperor who dreamed too big. A general who sent men to die in mud. A czar who clung to prayer. A commander who broke the plan. A future prime minister who led men into disaster. And admirals who gambled away their chance at victory. The biggest idiots of World War I weren't just foolish. They shaped a tragedy that swallowed millions. History remembers their arrogance, their blindness, and their failure. But tonight, as you drift into rest, let these stories remind you how fragile power can be and how often it is wasted. Sleep well, dream gently, and good night.